Motoring 2011 on TSN is brought to you by Quaker State, Real Durable Oil, and Michelin, a better way forward.
As I speak, fuel prices in North America are still high and could be going higher. The plus side of this, as we've always said here on Motoring, is that the sales of small, fuel-efficient, clean vehicles are going up, and dramatically, 17% just last month. Now, I don't have the statistics, but I doubt you are going to see the same sales spike when it comes to hybrid vehicles. You know, in the 11 years that the gas-electric hybrid has been around, Canadians have purchased 18 million vehicles. 58,000 of those were hybrids. Hardly a ripple in the automotive pool. However, hybrid and electric vehicles continue to be the buzzword. It seems like every manufacturer has one, although Infiniti was not one of them until now. Yes, we've all heard about the much talked about Nissan Leaf, but now Infiniti, the luxury division, is about to launch its very first hybrid vehicle, and they're hoping that success will breed success.
The beauty of this vehicle is that you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have the sporty performance that you would expect of a V8, but now you've got the fuel efficiency of a four-cylinder engine.
It is an inspired performance. That is the tagline. That is the way of Infiniti. So all the vehicles are designed with that in mind. The driving pleasure, the performance, and now today with the launch of the Infiniti M Hybrid, now we've even raised it to a new level. So you're looking at performance and fuel efficiency. Well, I think it's a great vehicle to start it off with. Yes, we redesigned the M last year. We've seen huge success in Canada. Our sales are up over 150% versus the prior generation of the vehicle. I think it's going to be just showing extra success with the hybrid on that particular vehicle.
Well, the objective of a hybrid is to recapture a lot of the energy that's wasted. Gasoline engines only generate about 25% efficiency. The rest of the energy in a gallon or liter of gasoline goes to heat. So if you can capture some of this in the braking system, put it into a battery and use it to help drive the car, you can either use it to make the car go farther, or you can make it go faster, or you can do some combination of the two. And what Infiniti is trying to do with this car is more like what they do with the Formula One cars, with their KERS system, to use this stored energy to give the car better acceleration. If you drive it gently, yes, you'll go farther as well, but primarily they're looking at this as more of a performance hybrid rather than an economy hybrid.
It starts off in an electrical mode. You give it a bit more throttle, then the internal combustion engine kicks in. You're up at a cruising speed. The internal combustion engine eases off and you cruise on electric. What we start off with is a 3.5 liter Atkinson cycle engine. It has lower compression. It's easier to start at start, and it's got better fuel economy. What it gives up, though, is low-end torque, but that's okay, because we've got an electrical motor, which has gobs of torque right from the get-go.
You know, Infiniti has already hit a home run when it comes to the M, which was released about a year ago. And as we saw earlier, when it comes to hybrids and electric, great idea, maybe way down in the future, but right now in the big picture, nobody is buying them. And I hate to think how much money goes into a car like this when you think of all the incredible technology that you find in it. And when it comes to how many they're going to sell, the answer is they don't know. So my question is, why bother?
Well, I think it's a great addition. Today's consumer is looking, especially the luxury consumer, is looking to be environmentally conscious, but not wanting to compromise on the other aspects, which are performance and luxury. And with the M Hybrid, it is the full package.
The biggest problem with hybrids right now is that they cost so much more to manufacture. Even the Infiniti, if you do the numbers based on Transport Canada statistics, it'll take you 9 years to pay off the cost of the car in fuel savings. Now, if you want a car that happens to get good fuel consumption and performs well too, and you're prepared to pay a $6,000 premium, well, nobody needs a Porsche 911 to drive to work either, but they choose to do so because they like it. But from a pure economics point of view, hybrids simply don't compute.
You know, we all want to get the best fuel mileage, and a lot of manufacturers today are putting little icons in the dash to show you when you've hit that sweet spot while driving. The same goes with the new Infiniti Hybrid. A beautiful screen, and it displays many things, but the one that really catches your eye is the one that tells you when you're running off the battery on electricity and when you're running off the engine. Trouble is, it looks so good, you find yourself glancing at it a lot. Downside is you're taking your eyes off the road. My advice if you're driving this car and you want to know when you're running strictly off the battery, check out the RPMs. There won't be any.
Well, the M has been a very successful product for Nissan, but they look at the Lexus GS, and about 20% of Lexus GS sales are the hybrid edition. So Infiniti figures there's a chunk of the market we're not reaching, and so why not reach for it?
The key message about this vehicle is that you've got 360 horsepower with 6.9 liters per 100 kilometers. You've got fuel efficiency and performance. There is no compromise with this vehicle.
Electric cars? I'm sold! More later on Kenzie's Corner.
Four-door coupe? It's an oxymoron. On this edition of Test Drive, the Mercedes-Benz CLS 63 AMG. When the Mercedes-Benz CLS debuted, it did so as the first of the so-called coupe sedans. The object of the exercise was to produce a four-door car with the rakish roofline and sporty profile of a two-door coupe. It worked then and it still does today. Simply, it adds considerable curb appeal. This CLS is actually kind of coupe-like. The roofline is very rakish and quite fast at the back end. Certainly, when you're getting in, you've got to watch your head on the roofline, but once you get inside, you'll find plenty of space for two adults. The other place this is very coupe-like, right here. You don't very often find sashless windows on a sedan. Now, when you get around to the back end here, 15 cubic feet of cargo capacity, split folding rear seats, and a neat trick. Now your groceries won't go walkabout. Dynamically, the CLS 63 AMG is a delight, and it boils down to the powertrain and a suspension system that can be all things to all drivers. The CLS 63 uses a 5.5-litre turbocharged V8. It is a superb piece of engineering. The 518 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque at just 1700 RPM satisfies the need for speed very nicely. The 0 to 100k time comes in at 4.2 seconds. It also has enough grunt to light the enormous 285 30R19 tyres up with alarming ease if the driver's daft enough to turn off the traction control system. When outrageous is not quite enough, you can option up to the AMG package. It does a number of things, the most important of which, it ups the turbo boost pressure to about 19 psi. That increases the horsepower to 550, but more importantly, it ups the torque to a tyre shredding 590 pound-feet. Now that's what you call habanero. The riotous power is fired to the road through AMG's multi-clutch technology 7-speed manumatic transmission. It features three very different driving modes: Comfort, Sport and Sport Plus. The Comfort mode pulls away in second gear and features an idle stop system that shuts the engine down whenever the CLS comes to a standstill. The combination cuts fuel consumption by upwards of 20% and it's ideally suited to an urban environment. The cabin of this CLS is an absolute delight. The materials, they speak for themselves, and there's some things that are worthy of note. For instance, the Drive Dynamic driver's seat, well, it does everything. It's fully articulated and it has a number of pneumatic adjustments that actually allow you to do just about anything except put you in the passenger seat. The command system, it controls everything from the nav to the phone system to the multimedia side of the car. It is intuitive, and a lot of the information shows up actually in the dash. Now, the two things that drove me crazy, the turn signal and cruise control sit far too close together. As a result, you go to signal a turn and end up setting the cruise. And the last thing, right here, this seat belt. You plug it in, start the car, and it yanks you back into the seat. It drove me nuts. The suspension also features 3 distinctly different settings. The normal mode delivers a luxurious ride. Moving up to the Sport 1 and Sport 2 modes sees the suspenders get progressively firmer, as does the steering. The final dynamic link is found in the brake system. The 2-piece composite rotors deliver a ton of fade-free stopping power, just as well given the power at play. The CLS 63 AMG really is a Jekyll and Hyde car. Select the comfort mode and it purrs about town with none of the temperamental traits you expect from a full-on supercar. In fact, it also comes with the advantage of an idle stop system that conserves precious fuel. On the other hand, you select the Sport Plus mode and this thing is not only track ready, it's more than competitive.
There are tickets and there are tickets, and I don't like the one that I got, and I'll tell you why at motoringtv.com.
You're looking at 90,000 plus units here annually right now. You know, in car terms, that's still somewhat niche, but in terms of what this car does as a halo for the broader Chevrolet brand and drawing customers in for a look into our dealerships and just looking at Chevrolet in new ways, it's just been fantastic for us.
You know, the battery on this Infiniti Hybrid is located just behind here, and that battery, along with the rest of the hybrid components, adds 275 pounds to this vehicle. You're also losing 3 cubic feet of luggage space, but despite that, Infiniti insists you can still put 4 sets of golf clubs back here, and if you doubt them, the car even comes with instructions on how to accomplish it. All right, let's head to the Quaker State Garage. Join Bill Gardiner.
Instructions, Brad? You got to be kidding me. With the good old pickup truck, you could empty the whole pro shop into the back and still have room to spare. Anyhow, this week I want to talk about control arms and some of the different arms in the front suspension and the rear suspension of many light-duty vehicles. Now, in this Dodge minivan, for example, we just use a lower control arm in this McPherson strut suspension. The lower arm does not support weight, and as the name implies, control arm, it controls or positions the wheel. And on this Dodge, the lower arm comes out to the lower ball joint, joins up with the steering knuckle here, and depending on the make, model, and year of your vehicle, you may have more than one control arm per wheel doing various different functions. Some of them carry loads, some of them just position wheels, but they're components that, as a mechanic, we frequently have to remove to service. So, in this example here, this Honda Accord upper control arm, the ball joint, or upper ball joint, is integral with this arm. So if we've got a worn out ball joint, we have to replace the whole control arm. That's the case in many cars. So here's the problem that we have as mechanics. When we go to replace these arms, on many cars, they're very difficult to get off. Now, this arm right here, this is a compression rod from an Infiniti G35, and this positions fore and aft and takes load when you brake or accelerate with the Infiniti G35. This is an aluminum arm, as you can see, and down at this end of the arm, you can see where I actually had to take the Sawzall and saw right through this arm in order to get it off the car. Now, the problem was that the steel sleeve in the middle of this bushing, you know, this is the remnants or debris from it, this steel sleeve often seizes on the stud or bolt that attaches the control arm to the car. So after the car's been in service for a few years, this arm won't come off in the intended fashion, so all of a sudden your labor situation is sometimes doubled. It can cause you a lot of grief as a mechanic. Unfortunately, most manufacturers use a suspension bolt, something like this, that has a plain straight shank to it, and it goes into a steel sleeve that attaches many of those suspension arms to your vehicle. Here's the problem. The steel sleeve in the middle of the suspension bushing will eventually rust and corrode and close down on this bolt and seize it on there, and you'll have a heck of a time getting it off. Honda cars, for example, use a ribbed bolt on many of their suspension components. You can see the bolt right here. The guys at North Queen Auto Parts in Etobicoke were nice enough to give me a couple of these to show you today. And I've noticed that when I'm working on suspension systems, 8, 10, 12-year-old Honda car with these ribbed bolts, when I want to take them out, they're never seized. Loosen them, take the fasteners off, and they pull right out the way they should. Most other brands of cars, you've got seized fasteners in many cases, which can really complicate the job. Now, I don't know if Honda ribs those bolts for strength or to prevent them from seizing. I haven't spoken to their engineers, but the bottom line is, because of that design feature on their suspension bolts, the car's really easy to service no matter how old or how many kilometers it is. And that means you save a lot of money. It makes my life a lot simpler. Till next week, I'm Bill Gardiner for Motoring 2011.
Here we are at the Beansville Berries and Blooms Festival. It's a beautiful summer's day and lots of people are out and about having a good time. But it has to be said, there is something going on here which you wouldn't normally expect.
My friends have been to multiple shows before where they say it's a car show, but they won't let in newer stuff. But you know, we keep it open to everybody. It's the same hobby. Everybody comes out, nice day, have some laughs, hang out, and maybe win a trophy. There's multiple events today. We have car and truck limbo happening shortly. We have first time ever that I know of, 3 female classes. This is obviously a male-dominated sport, so we have 9 awards for females. You name it, we have enough classes and trophies for everybody. I think we have 115 trophies to give away, and it's a busy day.
This was not popular in our day when we were young, but I could see us getting involved in this if this was available back when we were younger.
It is unfortunate that some are still stereotyped, when all they're actually doing is just following a hobby, and with a serious cash investment.
It's been appraised as my truck up to $40,000, but it's more time than anything. Like, I work all day and come home and then we'll go spend 6-7 hours at the shop. But all in all, it's just we've had the free time, we throw it in there and get as much done as possible.
I've owned this truck since 1996, and it's seen everything, all the ups and downs of my life. It's been there for me, and every year I put a little money into it here and there. You know, not a lot, but not a little. So it keeps me out of trouble, keeps me out of the bars.
There's multiple cars here with probably $150,000 invested in their vehicles, and it's pretty much unlimited as much as you can spend with the technology and the way things are. You keep building until you're happy with it, and then you start over and do it all over again.
Closed captioning of Motoring 2011 is brought to you by
Greener, fuel efficient, global. This is Chevrolet Now, driving our world forward.
Now we're talking about hybrid cars on the show this week, and you know, hybrids can make a certain degree of sense. A little extra power when you need it. Even Formula One has gone to a hybrid system. The trick is to make it economically worthwhile. But last week I was talking about pure electric cars, and of course we had to stop when the camera ran out of battery. And that's the real issue with electric cars. How long can they go on a charge? It's called range anxiety, and people are really nervous because electric powered cars just don't go very far. The other issue is, when we recharge these things, everybody plugs into the grid. Where is that power coming from? It's coming right now mostly from burning coal. I mean, the situation we had in Japan recently with their nuclear reactor getting blown up, Germany, among other countries, decided to clean out all of their nuclear power. So we're going to be left with burning coal to power our environmentally friendly automobiles. Does anybody else see a problem with this? Now, the Chevrolet Volt It eliminates range anxiety by having a combustion engine on board. But the environmentalists, they're all over this because it's got a combustion engine. No, they're not buying cars anyway. The other thing that really peeves me about electric cars is the government subsidies. In most jurisdictions, the government will pay you a quarter of the value of that car just to get you into an electric car. Now, wait a minute. That's my money. That's my tax dollars. A quarter of the value of the car. I figured I paid for a quarter of that car. I should get to drive it a quarter of the time. In fact, if 4 of my neighbors buy a Chevy Volt or a Nissan Leaf, I should be able to drive his car 1 week, the other guy's car the second week, her car the third week, another guy's car. I'd drive for free all year. You know, there might be something to these electric cars after all. I'm Jim Kenzie.
Okay, so Infiniti now has its first hybrid with the already successful M. Now, we didn't get to spend a lot of time behind the wheel, but I can tell you that the hybrid system is fairly seamless. It's not intrusive. As for the torque, well, with that electric motor, it is simply wonderful. Just what you would expect in a sports sedan. As for the fuel mileage, well, the company's figures is 6.9 combined highway and city. As you can see, I didn't get that, but then again, I drove this like it should be driven. It's a sports sedan with over 300 horsepower. In short, they've done a good job with this vehicle. It drives and it handles like a regular M, but it does come with a $6,000 premium over its sibling. And I don't care if the gas prices are $2 a liter, you can buy a lot of fuel with that change. Now, Infiniti is proud, and so they should be, of the fact that the Automotive Leasing Group has selected Infiniti for 3 years in a row of having the best residual price of any luxury maker in Canada. That's pretty impressive. However, like any hybrid, how long is that battery going to last? We don't know. When it comes to the residual price 3 or 4 years down the road, will it affect it? We still don't know. Hey, I'm really impressed with all the technology going into cars today. However, if I'm going to buy an M, it won't come with an H. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
This, to me, is a showcase automobile, not a halo car, but certainly it demonstrates that Kia can make more than a cheap car. I think that's the point of it.
I think electric technology is great for cars, it's green. The problem is we don't have the infrastructure to charge them yet. The Volt gives you a combination technology where you run on a gas engine when the battery's depleted, so I think it works.
Motoring 2011 on TSN has been brought to you by Quaker State, Real Durable Oil, and Michelin, a better way forward.